This video is designed for first-time owners of the vehicle. The goal is to give you guys an idea of what you're getting yourself into and steps I recommend taking to prepare yourself for ownership on a Hummer H2. A little bit about myself. This is my H2. I daily this H2. I've owned the vehicle for 2.5 years. Over that time, I've put on approximately 20,000 miles. This H2 actually has about 200,000 X miles on it, 200,000 like 25 miles. So it's in incredible condition. Over the last 2.5 years, I've rebuilt the transmission, U-joints, fuel pump, oil leaks, restored power of the 6.0, cleaned the vehicle. I've literally touched every part of this vehicle. Prior to owning this vehicle, I was master noob. I never even worked on a vehicle before. And now, after 2.5 years, I've checked off just about every box on my way to becoming a master mechanic. I've probably spent, I can only imagine how many thousands of hours researching this vehicle. I've read several books on the vehicle. I've gone through brochures on the vehicle. Probably gone through, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 100,000 posts going back 20 years, studying transmission rebuilds, studying the engine and how to make it run as effectively and efficiently as possible. So you want to buy an H2. My recommendation first would be to go through all my YouTube videos. I'm on my way. I'm actually working on a 6.0 series on how to understand the Hummer engine and what you need to do to get this vehicle up and running. Okay, so take the time, study not only my videos, go and watch other videos on the engine. It's the LS 6.0. This engine, stock, it's about 325 horsepower. It's widely considered the most reliable engine of all time. Very customizable. It's a great engine. It's relatively easy to work on. I know for some of you guys out there who have never worked on an engine before, you're like, oh my God, what are all those wires? Let me tell you guys, when you start to break it down, you watch my videos, it's not as bad as it seems. For me, the self-education was the hardest part. Sure, there are videos on YouTube where people talk about these engines and they go through them, but if you don't understand the correct process or what's going on, for me, I had to go through this engine, like take this all out probably a dozen times for mistakes that I made, and then I have to go back in and like it was a real pain in the butt just disassembling everything and then fixing something, reassembling it. So it can be a real pain in the butt and really frustrating. I want to do my best so you guys avoid that when you have to work on your engine. So that'd be the number one thing. Go through all my videos, even some of my videos on sound deadening. I've sound deadened my vehicle with Resonix. It's the best stuff in the world. Inside my vehicle you can see some of the CLD. So when it comes to like inside my vehicle, all right, it sounds like a live rock concert inside my vehicle. Mind you, I'm still on the stock Bose speakers. So on my videos I talk about everything from finding parts, recommendations for the vehicle, cleaning the vehicle, everything. I cover everything on my channel. So go through all my videos, take notes, take your time, go back through them, watch them over again. I'm not saying that just to get views. I could care less about the views. When I started this channel, the goal was to help people who wanted to buy these vehicles but they really weren't sure what they're getting themselves into. So let's talk about it. Comes to the H2. On the exterior of the vehicle, you got to understand these vehicles have wicked water leaks. There's about 25 or 30 water leaks. They have to be sealed. All the trim has to come off. Just because the paint looks good doesn't mean there isn't dirt built up behind that trim. All right, let me tell you guys, I saw when I disassembled my vehicle, there's dirt that gets jammed up down here, gets jammed up behind here. These are rusted out. The screw holders are rusted out, need replaced. Back here was absolutely the worst. All through back here, massive dirt buildup, bugs, absolutely disgusting. When I say cleaning the vehicle is no joke, it's no joke, guys. So if you had 2 or 3 people working on your H2, maybe you got a couple brothers or a sister or a mom, dad, grandpa, uncle, maybe the wife wants to jump in and help out. That's incredible. That's great, because let me tell you guys, cleaning it was the hardest part of the vehicle. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Mind you, I rebuilt my own transmission with heavy-duty Sonex parts, including a 3/4 input drum. So understand, Water leaks, it's going to be, those need sealed. Trim, it's going to have to come off because behind it needs cleaned. All right, your average owner doesn't do that. Your average owner of any vehicle doesn't take care of their vehicle. It just happens to so be that the H2 is just such a massive beast that, you know, cleaning the vehicle is just extra difficult because the vehicle's just, it's like cleaning 2 or 3 vehicles in one. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So cleaning the vehicle is going to be, you know, something that's going to need to be done. Even the interior, you know, these carpets over time, what happens is people spill stuff. You know, removing the chairs or the seats, it's not bad actually. Remove the seats. Again, I recommend you pressure washing the carpets. It can smell inside these vehicles because of the water leaks. The water leaks bring all types of rocks and pebbles. I literally had like twigs and mud inside my vehicle from the water leaks. It's no joke. Behind here, you know, behind here there was dust. Behind the C-pillars, dust. You know, even on the roof, I found dust and, you know, buildup of, you know, it's like mold almost, and it smells. It was a horrific smell behind here. Everything behind back here was absolutely disgusting. There's bugs and beetles and worms and grass growing. I'm not joking, guys. It was absolutely disgusting. So that's something to keep in mind. A big thing too is you're gonna have to educate yourself on the 6.0. Underneath this engine is the LS 6.0 engine. It's widely considered one of the most reliable vehicles of all time. I am working on a mini series for you guys to understand the vehicle, or the, you know, this engine. So go through that. You're gonna have to learn all about this, all right? Owning a Hummer H2, it's gonna be an educational experience. If you're someone saying, well, I'm just gonna have my mechanic do it, well, you're probably looking at, you know, an $8,000 bill, maybe a $10,000 bill, mechanic bill. And at that point, do you really want to be known as the guy who just pays to fix their problems, or do you want to, you know, man up and you want to figure out how to do the problems yourself? If you're going to buy one of these vehicles, you got to be the type of person that you're willing to learn the engine. You're willing to get in here, work, get your hands dirty, you know, get beat up a little bit. So, you know, it's something to keep in mind. A lot of bulbs need upgraded, okay? When I bought my H2, these bulbs were stock. You couldn't see anything. I got all the lighting in here. These aren't daylight running lights. They're actually, excuse me, they're not fog lights down there. They're daylight running lights. I've seen some guys do upgrades on those and actually do some customized options and put Toyota fog lights on those. So there's a lot of customization options. You really have to imagine what H2 you want and, you know, make it happen. So my biggest priority for you guys is start studying the 6.0. Read about the engine, okay? Read about, you know, or just watch people take apart the engine. You can learn a lot by just watching people on YouTube. All right, understand that you're going to need an external transmission cooler installed because the radiator fails and the coolant mixes and the transmission goes boom. All right, the clutch packs will just melt up and be destroyed. So this stops that from happening. All right, I talk about how to do that on my channel. You know, which mirrors are the right mirrors for your H2. I talk about that on my channel. Issues that you're going to run into, the transmission. You know, these transmissions typically last 125,000 miles. That's the 4L65, 4L60, 700 R4 line of transmissions. Anything after that, it's a big question mark. I've read somewhere, you know, I've read online, some guys, you know, they get 200,000. I've read some guys get 300,000 out of their transmission. So there's a lot of question marks. Anything after 125,000 miles, you have to be willing to spend. That's why I recommend you guys buy these vehicles. If you plan on keeping it, just bite the bullet and either do it yourself or pay a, you know, good quality transmission shop, 5-6 grand. Get the Sonex 3-4 input drum, the sun shell, the reaction. You know, get all the Sonex goodies in there. Put in the Corvette servo, and you do things right, probably get 300,000-400,000 miles out of the transmission. You have to understand you're going to have to learn everything about the engine. All right, if you're going to do four-wheeling. These tie rods, these Moog tie rods are weak. The vehicle's just simply too heavy. All right, you have to upgrade those to kryptonite. LED lights, or bulbs need upgraded because they're dead. If you want the vehicle to look good, you're going to have to put LED lights in it. A lot of bulbs are going to be dead. You know, it's an incredible experience. It truly is like nothing else. It really is just an awesome SUV to own and drive. I'll tell you guys, if you do decide to buy one, and if you understand what you're getting yourself into, there's going to be electrical gremlins. I actually came across one guy. I talked about, hey, you're going to have electrical gremlins. They're going to pop up. It's going to be annoying. You have to run it out. You just have to run the problems out. And he goes, hey, actually, the electrical gremlins started happening just as I predicted. He goes, I'm working on fixing them right now. So you have to be a special person to buy one of these H2s. And I'm not being negative when I say this, okay? You know, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be frustrating. It's part of the process, guys. You know, some H2s, if the owner is taking care of the vehicle, you're not going to run into as many issues. Even if you get an H2 in good shape, you know, there's still going to be a lot of work you're going to have to do. U-joints, all right? Spicer U-joints. I want to, if I were, you know, as a new owner, I'd want a upgraded fuel pump, U-joints. I want the transmission rebuilt. All the fluids need to be changed. Front diff, rear diff, transfer case, transmission, engine coolant. All right, you got to clean the throttle body and the air intake because it gets gummed up over time. Spark plugs, coil packs. All right, air filter's a big one. When I took my air filter off, nobody had ever changed it before. It looked like it had gone through NOM and back. All right, it was that vicious. These batteries are, most people have weak batteries inside this vehicle. That's an Odyssey battery. It's a hardcore battery. If you drive these vehicles, especially in the winter, you're going to want to have a hardcore battery. All right. Other things that you're going to have to learn about: fuses. Okay, these are fuses. These are relays. You can actually take these out. I didn't even know that. Guys. I actually thought these were like part of a computer chip module or something. They couldn't be removed. So like when I say I was master noob, guys, don't feel embarrassed. You know, it's part of the process, you know, of learning. You know, brake fluid. You want to get some good quality brake fluid in these vehicles. So you got to replace these relays. You can see some of these. I think this is like horn, and this is something else. But what happens is, you know, these relays, they get heated up over time. They fry, and your vehicle won't run. These valve covers right here, these valve body covers, those need replaced. It's a bad design, so you have to buy the new design, and you have to drill some holes in it. New belts. All right, I actually put a new radiator in mine because mine was leaking. These pipes right here, okay, these need replaced. All right. So, you know, harnesses, you know, you have to tape up harnesses. So I'm going to talk about all that, you know, with you guys in my series. Just cleaning the engine. I hosed out my engine. It was just, you wouldn't believe how dirty this was. This block was so dirty, it was black. I didn't even know this was like an aluminum block. All right. I thought it was all like supposed to be black. That's how much. I mean, there was squirrel nuts in there. Massive squirrel nuts, guys. I'm not joking when I say that. So like this was jacked up. I had to get it was folded inwards. There's so many little things you have to look out for. My mirrors were jacked up. These are the good mirrors. They started making these in 2006. So you want these mirrors on your vehicle. You know, window regulators. I actually just recently replaced 3 out of my 4 window regulators. That's what makes your windows go up and down. Your door actuators. That's what unlocks and locks your vehicle. I actually replaced both of mine in the rear. So some of these door panels were jacked up. This is originally a wheat Hummer H2, and I'm actually transitioning it to a black H2. So you can see I had to get some new door panels, install those. I actually did some custom work with the sound deadening. I installed a bad exhaust. It's too loud. So I've talked about everything you need to know. It's all on my channel, guys. Go on my channel, watch the videos. It's going to help you find a lot of success. Good luck.